Well, on Workers' Day, we want to create more workers. To do that, we need more businesses and more business owners. The United Nations Assistant Secretary General and Regional Director of the UN Development Programme for Africa, Ahunna Eziakonwa, is in our country, fostering the programme's Timbuktoo initiative. The programme is aimed at helping people to start their own businesses, to create an environment in which new businesses can start and build themselves up. Well, Ahunna Eziakonwa is with you now. Ma'am, good afternoon to you and thank you for joining us on your trip to South Africa. How does the Timbuktoo program work? What are you trying to do?
Right. Thank you so much, Steve, for the opportunity. The UN Development Program is the UN's premier development organization. And our business, our mission really is to end poverty wherever it exists, but also to tackle inequality and ensure that we have sustainable development that protects the planet. And in Africa, where we actually think we can get the best ideas for doing all of this, we are focusing on youth, on innovation, on technology, because right here we have a very youthful population, very few opportunities. But in the last few years, particularly when COVID hit this continent and the world, we were exposed to the immense talent that exists on this continent, particularly among our young people, and the role that technology and digital transformations could play. So as a development entity, we came together to say, what if we were to invest in this talent, in creating opportunity for our young people to realize decent work, the kind of work that actually pays, but at the same time give them the opportunity to transform their world with innovations that change situations and tackle development challenges. So Timbuktoo arrived with this exciting philosophy that we create a Pan-African network of hubs with vertical specialization. So imagine them as centers of excellence hosted by each country that would bring financing, bring mentorship, bring technical assistance, equipment, everything that a young person with an idea that could change the world needs to make that a reality. So we're calling it the largest financing facility for powering the innovation sector on the continent of Africa, basically sparking a startup revolution. So the ambition here is that we want to support 10,000 startups the next 10 years that could create 100 million livelihoods, support 100 million livelihoods, but also create a $10 billion value through this idea of having a public side of the fund, a catalytic fund, about a third of the $1 billion that we're putting forward, and a commercial venture that would then bring capital from commercial and from public sector together. That's never really been done. In the same room, powering startups to go from ideas to industry. Timbuktoo is also looking at bringing together players that are not usually operating in the same room, industry, academia, and government. Again, that is a very unique model of multi-stakeholder convergence to work in this space. So UNDP is working with all the partners. We gathered here in Cape Town the last 2 days, basically plumbing and trying to get a strategy handbook that will help us get this on the road in terms of execution.
We can see in many places, so particularly North America and Europe at the moment, everyone talks about the fourth industrial revolution, and their economies are moving in that direction, a sort of virtual economy, if you like. I worry that maybe our continent is being left behind a little bit. We've seen a big change in the last 10 years, much easier to get online in Africa, across Africa, much easier to do it cheaply as well in the last 10 years. But still, I worry that maybe we're not making sure that our children, young people, are being properly resourced, are being properly educated in this, and that might make it a bit harder for you. And many of these startups will be in that space.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the reason why Timbuktoo was born, essentially, is to address this gap. There are a couple of gaps that we're addressing. One is the early stage risk capital, which, you have all these brilliant ideas by young people, but, no one wants to take a chance on them. No one wants to risk their capital in an idea that may or may not work. I mean, we have angel investors that are being groomed on the continent, but it's nowhere near enough. So Timbuktoo will breach this gap that we have in early stage capital, because you never know how that idea that you don't invest in would be a big loss to the continent and to the world. And then secondly is we have, because as you say, there's a huge activity in this space. A lot of ecosystems developing across sectors, but mostly fintech. But it's not coming together. So Timbuktu wants to fix the fragmentation of this ecosystem and bring spaces together that connect the dots, so that you have, one-stop shop for a particular vertical. And the other thing is, if you look at where the investment is going in a very few areas in terms of sectors, fintech, as I said, and one or two others. But what we need to achieve the sustainable development goals is beyond just digital finance. We need technology applied to our agriculture sector, which is where the vast majority of Africans derive their livelihood. We need technology in the health sector, without which human capital, which is absolutely necessary for building Africa's economies, is not going to be addressed. We need technology in the education sector. Today, we have 100 million African youth out of school. Now, this doesn't make for a future that is sustainable unless we can find a way to apply technology and digital means to getting this learning to our young people. So we have right now 8 vertical sectors that have direct implication for Africa's development, that we will be boosting the ecosystem around those sectors and break crowding in capital that actually would invest in the best ideas that emerge. And then we want to bring in the universities, because, we don't think that Silicon Valley would have been possible without Stanford. And today our universities have been left out. There is no way research and development that if it doesn't come in at the heart of our innovation, we can't make it. So we're starting to install what we are calling university pods in our landmark universities across the continent. We've launched 13 already of these. And the idea is to cover all of Africa, the whole map of Africa, with these university pods that provide maker spaces, incubation spaces for our university students to test out their ideas and therefore start to generate a pipeline of investable projects for the tech hub that we're creating. So it's really a brilliant move to connect these various dots. You can't do one without the other. And right now we have an ecosystem that's growing, but largely fragmented. We're very optimistic that Africa is going to be the go-to place for new ideas that can change the development landscape.
Ahunna Eziakonwa, thank you very much indeed, ma'am. I really do appreciate the time. On the line from Cape Town, the United Nations Assistant Secretary General and Regional Director of the UN Development Programme for Africa. In a moment